life instead of everything you know that you could get. Don't let them guide your life towards regret. I'll fight for what I love with every breath. My past is filled with things I won't forget. I use them all to push me to my best. So treat the worst of times just like a test. If only I could go back in time, I'd tell myself that everything will end up alright. Just push yourself, test yourself, figure out what you like, and find your limits, don't be rigid, always work towards a prime. Surround yourself with open minds, people can change your life. A few friends with intent can help you feel alive. Find a passion, take some action, and with a little time, just be patient, make a statement, try to enjoy your life. They'll try to kick you while you're down. They wanna rise up while you drown. They wanna fill your head with doubt. They're silently scared that you'll figure it out. I'll make it look like I'm losing. Won't bother hiding my bruises.
All right. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Monday. Who cares? Just another day, right? It doesn't matter. Oh, anyways, it's just a funny time, funny things going on, all kinds of goofy shit, you know what I mean? It just, the fun just doesn't stop, you know? All I keep seeing is everything with, old creepy, you know? You've got this stuff that's coming out that's, you got the diary thing with Ashley Biden, right? Anybody think it's weird that these kids keep leaving shit? It's like are they trying to out something, or what's going on here? She apparently, supposedly, allegedly left a diary in a rental, I guess, while she was in rehab, allegedly. And these individuals found it. They approached Project Veritas with it. Tried to sell it to them. They said no. And they also approached the Trump administration with it, and to which the Trump administration said, you need to take that to the FBI. Were they, what was their motivation? Why did they go to those two organizations with this? And they pled guilty, I believe. In federal court, they're looking at charges of transporting stolen property over state lines. And looking at like a 5-year bit, which apparently they've already pled guilty to. So I don't know. That's a weird thing that's going on. I don't get it. There's a lot of things. It's like they're, a lot of this stuff I think is smoke and mirrors. And it makes me wonder about the whole thing with Mar-a-Lago as well. It's like, could this have been something that happened to, hang on one second. I had to kill the fridge. Could this have been something that was orchestrated to potentially have this desired effect, this desired outcome? It makes me wonder. All this stuff, because, it's always the man behind the curtain. It's like when you watch The Wizard of Oz. And we don't get, but we get a little bit, maybe, a little bit of the truth. I've been watching this. I've put a lot of time, and I wrote an article about the whole thing with Paul Pelosi. And there's a lot of stuff going on there. And Jesse Waters on Fox has been all about it. And, I've uncovered more than what he's out there saying. And he's upset about it, and it's been one of those things that he's really just jumped on, and whatever. Think what you will of Waters. I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying anything. Well, I'm going to say this. He's sensationalized a lot of the things, a lot of the facts. Now it's still not it's still an ugly scenario, but what it comes down to is it's corruption. It's corruption. It's greed. It's power, and it's the whole scenario is the outcome. And the thing that I don't understand with the whole Paul Pelosi thing, if any of you are paying attention, most of you probably don't even give a shit. I kind of happen to, I find this to be a very, very interesting case, especially since the passenger side airbag deployed, and that's a 2021 Porsche. So that vehicle doesn't make that mistake if there's not somebody in the passenger seat. Where are they at? Who was it? He said his wife was on the East Coast. Was she in the passenger seat? I mean, she supposedly was on the East Coast. If not, then who was there? And then you see the pictures of his hands, all beaten and bruised up. He's not wearing a wedding ring. Weird. The guy that he hits can't speak any English, which begs the question. I always look at things from the flip side. Like what if Jesus Lopez had been on the what if he'd been the one that was at fault? I mean, that, and I mentioned that the other night. So anyway, that's an interesting thing that's going on right now. And really, it's inconsequential. The guy got a fucking DUI. But the thing is that he got treated with kid gloves. Once again, he got the Section B of his charge, which was the 23. This time he got the 23-153, which they call the wobbler. So the judge is able to decide whether they want to go misdemeanor or felony. And that Section B is the one that pertains to the injury. The last one that he got just in 2018, he got charged with the one ended in 152, A and B, and then the 103.5, which is the reckless driving related to alcohol, which was the only charge that he caught, and he got basically the same thing, except for I believe that his charges in 18. Which happened, I believe, it was in July of 2018 when it happened. So somebody was injured in that because he also caught the Part B, which in California statute, there's a Part A and there's a Part B, and then there's the felony statute, which ends in the 5-2, and there's the one that ends in the 5-3, which is the wobbler, which is up to the judge's interpretation, which is what he got charged with this time. And when you look at it, and both these occurrences happened in under 5 years. Okay, he'd only been off of probation on his last one for 8 months and 7 days. Exactly. 8 months and a week. And he goes and does the same thing. The man is probably too old to be driving around in a Porsche. I mean, once you hit 80, you might want to get a hover round or a chauffeur. I mean, how much money is Pelosi worth? I mean, what are they worth? Nancy's worth what? They say between 115 and 140. He just invested $5 million, allegedly, in microchips, which was kind of weird that Paul Jr. and Nancy ended up in Taiwan. That's kind of weird. I don't know. And then every place that they went, her son was also involved in some kind of a company or another. And he's involved in 5 companies that are under investigation. But hey, who wants to bring that up? It's just, it's all these things, they all tie together. There's no such thing as coincidence. You know what I mean? I mean, like I've said over and over, there's anomalies that happen, like there'll be like maybe something weird. But when all these things just compile and work out like they did, Let's see. Pelosi founded and runs the venture capital firm Financial Leasing Services, through which he and his wife have a personal fortune of about $114 million. Okay, I overshot that. I'm not sure as of what date. However, okay, now this one here, we go down a little further. It says Forbes 2022 that he's worth $130 million. So he was born in 1940, so he's 82. His monthly income is $2 million. monthly. His monthly, and you can't hire a driver when you're making $2 million a month. You can't hire a driver. What's he making $2 million a month off of? Anybody? Bueller? Mueller? Hey, where's Robert Mueller on this one? Maybe you should look into this. Dude's 82 years old. He's out there rolling in a 2021 Porsche, and he's loaded. Dude couldn't stand up. Like, could not stand up. Like, they just asked him to stand on one foot. Couldn't do it, holding on to the police car. They asked him if he would submit to a breathalyzer. He says he wants to go home. The officer says, well, you've been in a pretty big crash here. So he goes, if you don't want to take the breathalyzer, he goes, you're real wobbly, and I can smell the alcohol in your breath, and so I'm going to have to hook you up. And the cop says, I'm going to have to handcuff you. I really don't want to, but I'm going to have to. And he goes, wait a minute, you never said if I refused the breathalyzer that I was going to get arrested. Well, listen, dude, come on, Pelosi. You've been through this. You've been through it recently, just as I know you're 82, but, come on, dog. Get with the program here. It happened like 4 years ago to you, and you did it again. I don't know who was injured in the last one, but he did catch that charge. So, and they dropped both charges just like they did this time. Same DA, different judge. So, this is preferential treatment. This is corruption within the system. And what I'm getting at is that money leads to corruption, right? I wouldn't have been treated that way. You wouldn't have been treated that way. You or I get in that, I'm hooked up. If I'm refusing if I'm grabbing onto the patrol car, trying to stand up like he was doing, dude, I'm getting like, you're catching a fucking baton, getting hooked up, chucked in the back, not treated well. You refuse the breathalyzer, that pisses him off. Now I'm going to tell you though, and this is not legal advice. Okay. I'm not telling you what to do. This is a suggestion that I was given by an attorney. That's all. And if you get online and you look at it, you'll see that a lot of attorneys say the same thing. But you're not required to submit to field sobriety tests or to a breathalyzer. So if you find yourself in that situation, just keep that in mind. You're going to eventually end up at a hospital, and they're going to draw your blood, one way or another. But you buy yourself some time. You're going to eat a license suspension. That's the other thing with Pelosi. They said that part of his sentence was that he was going to get an IID. Now that's different than an IED or a IUD. This is an interlock ignition device, and they're going to put it on his car for a year. Now, from what I see, and this is alleged, but from what I see, his Porsche is already up for auction. It looks the same as the one that they towed out of there. The date of the accident that caused the problem with the vehicle that's listed on the auction site is the same date, May 28th, 2022. It pretty much looks to be the same car in that area. So, I don't know if it walks like a duck. You know what I'm saying? But with refusing the breathalyzer, they said the alleged incident happened at 10:17. He didn't, they didn't get the BAC until 12:32 from a blood test, which was 0.082. So he was close. He almost made it. Probably another 10, 15 minutes. He might have been like a 0.079 and been, free to go on his way. As it is, he only spent like 5 hours. They gave him 2 days credit because he went in and, they got him to the jail at like 11:44. And it was obvious that he refused the breathalyzer at the station there. So they had to probably, I don't know if they typically they take you to a hospital. I don't know how it works in Napa County, but anyway, not to get off on that tangent again, just interesting because he should have a year suspension at least. And having 2 of these charges within under 5 years, California's pretty strict. He should be looking at more than a year suspension of his license. So why would we even worry about an interlock device, which, for those of you that don't know, it's just a breathalyzer that's on your ignition. You can't start the car, and you have to blow in the thing, and you have to hum. Now, I've never had one. I just know people that have, and then it goes off intermittently while you're driving, so it's a real pain in the ass. You're going down the road, and you gotta blow in the thing, and you gotta pay every month to have it calibrated, which is expensive, and the whole thing is just it's a deterrent, and it's to make sure that you're not out there driving all corned up. But they didn't say anything about a suspended license with him, and that's an automatic. If you refuse a breathalyzer and a field sobriety test, that's an automatic. It's an automatic year. I think Wyoming might be 6 months if you refuse, but I know California's a year. And then I believe if it's a subsequent offense within a certain amount of time, if it's like 2 within under 5 years, he should have caught, because he did plead. He got charged with the first part, the Part A of the 153 charge, and that packs a suspension as well, which being the second one should be. From what I'm reading in California state law, it looks like should be looking at anywhere from a 2 to a 5 year license suspension, which at 82 years old, get a goddamn chauffeur. Jesus Christ, you make $2 million a month. Come on. Out there driving around in a Porsche. What's he doing? What's his old man out there doing at 10 o'clock at night? Come on. It's crazy. I don't know. And he says, I had a couple glasses of wine before dinner. He's out there staggering around like a fucking wino. Anyway, we'll move on from that old bastard to another old bastard, Mr. Joe Robinette Biden Jr., the hero to the left right now because of his college debt forgiveness. Oh, what a deal that is, huh, folks? What a deal, huh? God, just what a guy. Yeah, and I can't believe nobody out there has coined this phrase yet. I've been calling this new act that they call the Inflation Reduction Act. I'm calling it the Inflation Inflammation Act. All right. Because that's all it's going to do, It's not going to do anything for inflation. In fact, it's going to make it worse, especially now that he did this unconstitutional declaration of college debt forgiveness. Now, we have a midterm election right around the corner. We're within, under 70 days now? Gee, do you think he's trying to buy votes? The guy is so rude and so pompous. He's such an ass. He's walking out from the press conference the other day, and one of the reporters asked him, well, how fair do you think this is to all the people that are going to have to pay this back? Is this fair for people that went to vocational school, or people that already paid off their college debt, or people that didn't even go to college and went and started their own business, with their sweat and tears and hard work? And now it's going to add, the figures, it's going to add probably another $2,000 to all of our taxes this year. How about that? So we can pay off for some, Kool-Aid head, mushmouth, fucking punk ass to go get a gender studies degree and end up being a barista at Starbucks. That's great. So he talks about how this bill of his is going to reduce the deficit by $300 billion. Like, that's it, $300 billion as opposed to approaching $31 trillion is like throwing a deck chair off the Queen Mary. It is nothing. And to sit there, and then he talks about deficit and how, it's deficit reduction. Historic deficit. He's claiming 1.7 trillion or something in deficit reduction. Bullshit. It doesn't have anything to do with paying off the debt. They use these terminologies, they use this jargon, these different nomenclatures to fool the American people. And you got to be able to read through it. If you can't read through it, then you're just going to, we're all going to fall prey to it, I was sitting there last night, and here we go again. I'm always thinking hypothetically. And I'm sitting there thinking, well, what if everybody just said, you know what? What if 300 nearly 40 million people in this country just said, you know what? Nah. We're not doing that tax thing this year. They're going to arrest everybody? Is that what they're going to do with their 87,000 agents? It makes you wonder why they got 87,000 agents that they're looking to hire. And who are these people? If you're thinking about taking one of those jobs and you're listening to this, I implore you to pull your head forcefully out of your anal cavity and screw it back on your neck. Because if you're really an individual that would go take one of those IRS agent positions, boy, you've got bigger problems than the rest of us. Because it takes a really fucked up personality to go work for that outfit. You know what I mean? To be able to take a job where you could potentially draw a firearm on somebody because of their back taxes. Who out there likes the IRS? Raise your hand. I bet there's no hands raised. Probably no hands raised because nobody's listening. But beside that, I mean, come on. Who likes them? Who would go work for that? Who would put in an application? I mean, for one thing, the percentage of students that are going to universities and colleges for accounting, it's way down. Who would want to do that? My roommate in college did that, and I remember I was like, "What exactly are you studying?" He showed me one of his books one night, and I opened it and went, you know, handed that thing right back. I was like, "Get that thing away from me." Shit, you know, good Lord. I mean, there's a lot of other things I'd rather read than that. I can tell you that much. Jeez, I'm like, this is what you do. Oh boy, you know. But it takes a special kind of people, you know. But yeah, every one of us is going to hit for $2,000. There's 144.3 million taxpayers as of the 2019 census in the country, you know. And it comes down to this. I mean, the government is tyrannical, and taxation is violence, and it's theft. Because when you think about it, if you're a wage earner out there, okay, you work hard. You show up at work every day when you're supposed to. You sit there and you put in your time every day. Punch in, punch out. You take your right time of lunch. And then you get your paycheck and it's already taken out. It's not voluntary. You didn't sign in. I mean, you did. You signed your tax paperwork to get your job, right? I mean, everybody has to do that. If you get a job, a legit job, then you got to fill out all your paperwork and give it to them, you know? I mean, you know, and so you're making $25 an hour. You go work your 40. You know, you think you're getting one thing, and then, you know, you look at the check and you're like, you know, you've got all these deductions. And where's your money going? To these wars. It's going to fund flying this geriatric mushhead all over the world. Same with Pelosi. We got two 80-year-old geriatrics that we're spending thousands, and I mean, it's thousands of dollars a minute to put those you know, those jets in the air. Not to mention their entourage. Not to mention the fighter planes. When Pelosi goes into Taiwan, how many fighter jets were, you know, accompanying her? Now we're over there. Now we just sent two naval vessels through the Strait of Taiwan. Nice move. That'll play out well. I mean, it's just crazy, you know. And then we got all this shit going on with the whole Mar-a-Lago thing, and it makes me wonder. It really makes me wonder what's going on there, because this thing is obviously unconstitutional. They released 32 pages of redacted affidavit, and it was written by an FBI agent, and I'm fairly certain that the agent is the guy that I had on the opening, and his name's Brian Otten. And guess what he was involved in? He greenlit the Steele dossier, the P-tape thing, that whole fucking deal, okay? He greenlit that tomfuckery for Hillary Clinton because he was another one of these FBI agents like Peter fucking Strzok and Lisa Page. And Strzok, every time I look at CNN, he's like a consultant now. The guy represents everything that is inherently wrong with the FBI. He's got no ethics. He's got no morals. And here he is telling the American people, oh, you need to trust the FBI. You got fired, motherfucker. The fuck you talking about? How can that guy, this is what kind of jackass this guy is. He gets up there, he's been fired because of his unethical decision making and the bullshit that he pulled when he was, he was the one in charge of whatever they called it, Hurricane, whatever the hell it was. I can't remember what, Project Hurricane, fucking whatever the fuck, the whole Russiagate thing that turned out to be a 3-year waste of time and, $40-some million worth of taxpayers' money just wasted on Bob Mueller, of all people, the guy that lied in 2003 about weapons of mass destruction and got us, and it was right there with George Bush Jr. and Dick Cheney behind the deaths of 1 million innocent Iraqi people, civilians, women, children, men. Why do we always say women and children? I can understand the children part, but I mean, if we're talking about gender equity, why is it always the females get to, the boat sinking, they get off first? There ain't no, who the hell, I think it was Bill Burr said, there ain't no feminist in a fucking house fire. I mean, why is that? I mean, is that gender equity? Come on, man, sound off. I mean, if that's what we're looking for, then hey, I should be able to, it should be, if you're evacuating a building or, somebody takes hostages. Who do they let go? The dude's got to sit in there, right? They're always like, let the women go at least. Well, how come it? Are we in a gender? Are we equal? Isn't this gender equity? Oh, but not in those situations. No. See, women play this thing off to, for their advantage. In one way, this is bullshit and it's sexist and it's misogynistic, but then, hey, like I said, in a house fire or a sinking ship or a fucking, crashed airplane or whatever, who gets the preferential treatment there? It ain't the dudes. If you think so, you're nuts. Excuse me. So, anyhow, back to the nature at hand. We're talking about taxes and what's going to happen there. I mean, this whole thing is just made to screw you over. And it's upward transfer of wealth again. Okay? That's all this is. And we can't take care of homelessness. People shitting on the streets. People contracting diseases that have been eradicated from humanity for over 100 years. We can't fix that. People living in tents. I don't know how many city blocks Skid Row is. Pook, you'll have to answer that for me. It's a lot. I guess I have the whole world of knowledge right here at my fingertips with my slow typing. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy. And the only person that's even brought it up has been Trump. Biden won't even go to the southern border, much less address homelessness. He doesn't give a shit. He's got fucking 2 homes. He's got his beach house and his fucking bicycle and his little, and his wife, the lovely doctor. Guess what she just got diagnosed with? She just got a repeat COVID. Do you know how many people I know that have been fully vaccinated that have got bing, double bang, 4 jib jabs and 2 strikes, one right after the other? And with Moderna, they came out and said 300 out of every million young men are getting the myocarditis. You've got, young athletic people collapsing, dead. and it's from it's from car exhaust and brake dust in the air. People just really just pumping up that brake dust. I mean, brake dust has been around for quite some time. I mean, it's been a while. I mean, you know, same with exhaust. I mean, the sudden death syndrome or whatever they're calling it. I don't know. It's kind of weird. I don't know what it's all about, but I guarantee here's what they're doing. And Alex Jones called this one out. He told Trump he better start renouncing that vaccine immediately, because they're going to try and they're going to pin anything that comes from this. They're going to pin it on Trump. It's going to be his fault. Even though Biden claimed he took all the credit for the vaccine. There's footage of him getting, there's also footage of him saying that he wasn't going to get it because it was, brought about by Trump from what Project Warp Speed. Kamala Harris said the same thing. They both said that. I can pull that up right now and show you. And then they end up allegedly winning the election, and all of a sudden the vaccines, they want to make it mandatory for everybody. You're not going to be able to go to your job. You can't do this. You can't do that. I mean, I got the shit twice. The virus. So I feel like I'm good. You know what I mean? But I'm not going to sit here and even really talk about it, because I'm still wondering, hey, YouTube, where's my apology? You still got me up on there as having a strike for medical misinformation when it wasn't misinformation. Turns out I was right the whole time, and a bunch of other people were too. That got banned. I got thrown off this thing for 1 week the first time, 2 weeks the next time, and then threatened that if I did it again, I was going to be banned and my channel was going to be taken down. And I was telling the truth. YouTube. Hi, YouTube. Where's my apology? Why is my strike still on there? Why don't you take it off? Because it turns out I was telling the fucking truth. Awesome. Big tech right there for you, huh? Really something. And I'm not the only one. All right, let's see what we can find here on old word salad. Oh, she says, I won't take the coronavirus vaccine if Trump tells me to. That's the caption on here. If Trump tells us to take it, I won't. Oh, wait a buck. She's just such a rebel. Just a rebel. My goodness. All right, let me see if I can find this thing here. Sorry, I gotta float back and forth here with my agile fingers. Oh, here's the bum I'm talking about too. Let me just bring this guy. There we go. There he is. I'll read this out for you. This is special investigative analyst. I was going to say analropist. Analysis Brian Otten. He pushed the Steele dossier as truth, lied to the country when he declared Hunter Biden's laptop was Russian disinformation, is being investigated for his actions, and yet is still involved in sensitive operations such as the Mar-a-Lago burglary. The FBI is running around all willy-nilly behind people like Brian Otten. He has consistently lied, claimed fake documents as truth, and screamed Russia, Russia, Russia regarding the president's degenerate son's laptop, which holds enough dirt to bury the Bidens. This agent is certainly special, but his analytical skills are similar to those of an epileptic, blind, fainting goat. And yes, that's what I wrote on there. Look at that guy. What a weasel. Not like Pauly Shore either. Anyway, there's the guy. So, let's bring the Honorable Vice President of the United States online here so we can listen to what she had.
Oh, no, you're Senator Harris to me. For life to get back to normal, Dr. Anthony Fauci and other experts say that most of the people who can be vaccinated need to be vaccinated. But half of Americans now say they wouldn't take a vaccine if it was released now. If the Trump administration approves a vaccine before or after the election, should Americans take it, and would you take it?
If the public health professionals, if Dr. Fauci, if the doctors
Dr. Fauci
tell us that we
says-
should take it, I'll be the first in line to take it. Absolutely. But if Donald Trump tells us that we should take it, I'm not taking it.
Vice President Pence, there have been a lot of repercussions from this pandemic. In recent days,
There you have it. How about that? Catch me outside. How about that? Huh? Catch me outside. How about that? Dum, 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 dum. If Dr. Fauci tells her to, though, she'll be right on it. Because Dr. Fauci is science, okay? If you question Fauci, you're questioning science. If you question science, I mean, you're just stupid, right? Right? According to everybody out there that's stupid. Here's my thing with science. Okay? All right. It's the best explanation that we have. But we're stupid. Mankind, humans, we are fallible. Obviously. Look at where we're at right now. Look at the mess we're in. We're in a mess of our own creation, and we're too stupid to even figure out how to get out of this. I'm an idiot, and I can figure it out. I can tell you what we need to do. Nobody's going to listen. Nobody ever does. I mean, it happens all the time. And typically, I mean, I'm not propping myself up whatsoever. Like I said, I'm a dummy. I'm a chimp. But at least I sit back and I try and do my research and my homework, and make, educated, stabs in the dark at things. I mean, to sit there and just say that science is infallible is stupid. Science was developed by human beings. We're fallible. We fuck up and make stupid mistakes all the time. We don't see things. We miss things. You overlook things. It happens all the time. I mean, look what's gone on with this whole stupid COVID thing. Now, it's done now, but look what this did to us. Look what this did to us. Look what it did. And it makes you wonder, we got the monkeypox. Does that remind you of anything? Because who's susceptible to the monkeypox? Seems to be the same group of people that were susceptible to AIDS back in the 80s. Who was involved in that whole thing? Was it that cookie elf? Yeah, I think he had something to do with that. And now he's gonna retire, and so he'll end up with he's already the highest paid government official there is, and he's lied and been wrong every step of the way. He lied in front of Congress. No perjury charges. Nope. Rand Paul calling him out on what gain of function is. This is not gain of function. They changed the definition of gain of function right in the middle of that thing. Isn't that kind of weird? That the CDC would go and change the definition in the middle of a pandemic. Isn't it kind of weird that Fauci knew in 2017? He said that this president is going to face a pandemic during his administration in 2017. Does anybody find that odd? Does anybody happen to think that, along the lines that I do, that there's not any such thing as coincidence? Especially when there's that many of them in a row. He lied about the masks. It was don't wear a mask. It was wear a mask. It was wear 2 masks. It was wear 4 masks and a respirator. It was, social distancing, lock yourself in your house. There's still places where little kids are the only ones that have to mask up. Now, little kids, right? Preschool kids, okay? A preschool kid needs to see the movement in somebody's face when they learn to speak. People need to see that, period. When we send our kids into school and they're just walking around like Cobra all day, right? And then you've got principals that are threatening to call the police on 4-year-olds that don't have a mask on. This is frustrating. It's really frustrating. And I always say the masses are asses. Well, look what we got. We have an 82-year-old Speaker of the House goofball flying all over the place trying to start World War III. For what? Why? Why'd she have to go over there? Could it be that a glug glug vroom vroom husband of hers invested $5 million in microchips? And the bill that just passed is allocating how many hundreds of billions to, the microchip, manufacturing and development here in this country? Kind of weird timing that old glug glug vroom vroom would invest in that, isn't it? And then she takes Junior with her. Like, what was he? He wasn't over there sightseeing. There was times he disappeared from the whole thing, and every place they stopped, he was invested in something there. He's invested and has a part to do in some capacity in 5 different companies that are under investigation. The largest of which happens to be in Taiwan, who happens to be the largest producer of these chips. Now, this act was also called the Chips and Science Act, rather than the Inflation Reduction Act. Now, if they say some shit like that, that's why I'm calling it the Inflation Act. I wish I could trademark that because I'm the only one that I've heard even say it. I've been calling it that since from jump. When you hear Congress come out with some kind of bill like that says it's going to do one thing, you can damn sure bet it's going to do the exact opposite. And that's what's going to happen here. And Biden doesn't have the authority anyways. He doesn't have the authority to cancel debt. Pelosi came out and said this in, was it 2019, 2020? 2020? Wasn't too long ago. We can play that again, too. It's just like beating a dead horse here. I know nobody cares, but damn it, if somebody at least does, Let's see. And now she's all, she's totally flim-flam, flip-flopped. But she doesn't know. I mean, her eyebrows are too high up on her head. Okay, here we go. In July of 2021. So this was not that long, just a little over a year ago. And here we go. All right, let me pull this one up. This is a good one. This was Pelosi just last summer. All right. Okay. Here we go. Get some volume here for this goofball.
People think that the President of the United States has the power for debt forgiveness. He does not. He can postpone, he can delay, but he does not have that power. That has to be an act of Congress. And I don't even like to call it forgiveness because that implies a transgression. It's not to be forgiven. Just freeing people from those obligations. So the question of who gets forgiven, to use the term of art that is out there, is a debate. Do we use whatever money there is for the broadest base of support of those with more people with even less debt, or fewer people with more debt? That's a policy discussion. But the difference between the president can't do it. So that's not even a discussion. Not everybody realizes that. But the president can only postpone, delay, but not forgive.
That was last summer. Oh, I don't want this guy up here again. He's ugly. Let's get, all right, there we go. All right. So there, July 21st, 2021. Pelosi saying the president cannot forgive debt. So he comes out. He's been on vacation for 5 weeks, right? He's gone for 3 weeks. He gets the Rona twice. Comes back. He's even weirder than usual. You know, he gets off that fucking helicopter and he does that fucking Herman Munster walk into the White House and then he yells stuff at the press. You got the helicopter's got the blade whirring and he's yelling shit like, my butt's been wiped, you know? I mean, you're just like, what in the, you know, and then God, I still love the one when he goes walking right past this, you know, the Secret Service guy sitting there. He's a flag. He's like one of those guys out on the tarmac, you know, like bringing an airplane in. And Biden just keeps on picking him up, putting him down. He takes those steps, and it's just straight up, straight down, straight up, straight. It's like, dude, you don't know how to walk. What's up with you, man? You know, he's like Herman Munster. I mean, straight up. His forehead's like Herman Munster's too, man. You could plant corn on that thing. We might have to soon. Food shortages and all that. And I don't know what the hell it was. He yelled that one day, and it sounded like, my butt's been wiped. What? Here we go, the bumbler. Let's watch another little video clip, huh? How about that? Why not, eh? I think we're well within our rights to do this. Why not? Who cares? Here we go. Here he comes. Let's see if we can get this one. Up, down, up, down. Who's he yelling at? What's he saying? Where's he going? There we go. Pick him up, put him down. 1, 2, 3, 4. Pick him up, put him down. Okay, watch this. I love this. He's like, this way, sir. This way, sir. Sir, I'm going to have to go over here, sir. Sir. Oh, I got back up. Okay. Oh, here he comes. Oh, he's still coming. He's just going for a country walk. Look at step. He walks like that. Look at right on. This is not right. This dude is a favorite. I mean, what? Go on there and miss you. Get you on in there, buddy. I don't know. It's pretty bizarre. I mean, very bizarre. What's going on here? It's really just, I don't know. It's one of those eek moments. All right, so I'm just going through my notes here that I got. Let's see. We talked about the jabs. Oh no, old Birla, the CEO from Moderna, he was online whining about the 30 million doses that he's going to have to throw away in the dump because nobody wants his vaccine anymore, and he just came off the COVID too. The CEO of Moderna, and Pfizer's pitch is, hey, we're 5 times safer than Moderna. Oh, that's good. I mean, this is just crazy, people. When is it going to be enough for you all to wake up and say, this is crap? I don't want to be on any side of this shit. It's all just a shit sandwich. I mean, it's like I've said over and over, it's going to come down to, we got to make some changes in our thought process, and we're going to have to make some changes in society. if we want to stick around here much longer, because quite frankly, it could be any day now that the whole thing just goes kaboom, you know? I mean, we've got despots like Kim Jong-un out there flinging missiles around. China and Russia got the hypersonics. I think we may have tested one now finally, but we can't defend it. We can't defend against them. You know, we've got homelessness is rampant. You know, the inflation is through the fucking roof. Fuel prices, ridiculous. The price of everything, lumber prices, crazy. Paint costs, ridiculous. Anything out of this world expensive. Eggs, milk, beef, pork, chicken, you name it. Cheese, anything. I had to get a thing of a gallon of distilled water that's usually like $1, you know? I had to get a gallon of that the other day. I use it to, for tattooing. You gotta use distilled water or sterilized water. I just use distilled. There's an argument about that, but that's in the tattoo world. We're not going there. But anyway, $2, so that's twice the price. And they only had 3 gallons in Walmart. They had 3 gallons of distilled water. Wonder why that is. Lots of stuff missing. You know, they say that the supply chain's good and all this, you know. I mean, you know, it comes down to this money, you know. I mean, and here they are. They're just making it up. They're just making it up out of nowhere. And no one says anything. Nobody says a thing. Everybody just sits back and they just, you know, I mean, you know, we'd be better off to take a piece of paper towel, right? And come up with our own currency and just write it on here and initial it and be like, this is worth what $5 would have been worth. And just start trading these. These are just shop towels that I cut into quarters. Why not? It's the same thing, probably more durable, and you can wipe your ass with it, which is what you're going to be doing with the dollar. I mean, it's just nuts, you know, and it all comes down to it's corruption, and it's inherent in a monetary system like we have with a reserve banking. Corruption is inevitable. It's going to happen. You can't prevent it. Because there's always temptation. In a monetary system, too, it's all about me. Me. They lie to you and say it's about the American people. Bullshit. If you buy that hunk of fucking shit from these people, then you're stupid. It's not about anything to do with us, with you, me. We care more about each other than these people do. Yet for some reason, and I don't know where this comes from, if it's herd mentality, if it's like, like we behave like pack animals, like wolves, where we've got to have somebody to follow. I know I don't. I don't follow anybody. Period. Nobody. There's people I admire. There's a lot of, there's people I respect, people I care about, but I don't follow them. I've got no need for politicians, presidents, vice presidents, secretaries. It's all just a waste. It's a waste of our time. It's a waste of our money. And it's a waste of our lives. We have a short time here. It should be spent learning, enjoying it, being able to be outside, be with our friends, be by ourselves, whatever it is that floats your boat, not sitting there being a slave, being a tax slave. Because trust me, while slavery isn't what it was, okay, I'm not trying to take anything away from what people went through years ago, okay? I think slavery is a horrible thing. I think it was an awful atrocity. Throughout recorded history, slavery is one of the worst things that, that's what kind of stupid monkey brains we have. that we think it's okay to just take certain people and then enslave them. Now, without slavery, would a lot of the things that are the wonders of humanity have been built? Probably not. Does that mean they needed to have been built? I think we're probably doing pretty fine beforehand. I don't know. I mean, look at the pyramids. Now, nobody can put, people have, they're saying now that, I've watched some things saying that they think that the pyramids were a power source. And nobody can really explain it. And I'm not going to get into it, but that was all slave labor, A lot of this country, big chunk of it, slave labor, I mean, the founding fathers owned, Thomas Jefferson had like over 600. And he had, he's got descendants. I saw that he had a great, whatever, however many great grandsons later, who's, a black man. One of his slaves that he had children with had gone back to France, and he enticed her to come back. She did so on the agreement that he would let her child go free. So this is the guy that wrote our founding documents, yet he owned people. I have a hard time with that. Yeah, I'm a straight white male in his 40s, and I have a hard time with that. I have a hard time taking the document that seriously. And the thing is, too, is I read this document all the time because everybody always asks me, why are you so into politics? Well, look, this is right here on my desk. Constitution. You can get one of these for free, folks. Pocket Constitution. All you got to do is get online and look up Google free Constitution. I did, and they sent it to me for free. SteveCastle.com. It looks like he's a minister, which I don't care. It's the Constitution. I couldn't find my old one. They sent me one for free. It's not a bad thing to have sitting there. I spent a lot of time last night just reading through stuff because I was looking at the 16th Amendment because we're talking about taxes. And I was looking at the 10th Amendment because the 10th is a doozy, especially since it falls before the 16th and of what it says. And that one is the one that says basically the power is not directly delegated to the federal government. They fall back on the state. And that no new powers, the power is not delegated to the United States by the Constitution, nor prohibited by it to the states, are reserved to the states respectively, or to the people. And then we have, well, this one doesn't go all the way up. It stops at 10, so that's kind of a bummer. You've got the 4th, which is that falls into the whole thing with, the rights of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated, and no warrant shall issue but upon probable cause, supported by oath or affirmation, and particularly describing the place to be searched and the persons or things to be seized. Now, out of that 32-page redacted affidavit, there was 20 pages approximately redacted that you couldn't see. And if you haven't looked at it, I'd encourage you to do so because it's not 38 or 30, 32, 30, what did I say? I think it was 38 pages. 20 of them just gone, just black marker. Right where it gets to the good shit, it's gone. So we don't really know what's going on there, and it could be any number of things. Half of me wonders, did Trump you wonder if almost he kind of coaxed him into doing this. Because when he was elected, everybody said, "Oh yeah, he's playing chess and this and that." And I thought, but there were so many situations that happened where I was like, maybe he was. I don't think this is one of those, but it could be. It could very well be. And it's funny that Alex Jones told him a while back, he's like, you better renounce these vaccinations and all this stuff. And that's what they're doing now. They're turning it around. The Democrats are turning it around. And they're starting to blame Trump for it. Even though Joe Biden grandstanded and took credit. He took credit. They got up there and they even, I mean, in front of the whole country, said, well, there was no vaccines until Joe Biden. And even dipshit on CNN, Jake Tapper, was like, wait a minute. No. He's like, you can't take credit for the vaccines. That was when the vaccines were the savior. Now, they're not. People are having problems. It's out there. That's not medical misinformation. Look it up. YouTube, whatever you got to do. Whatever you got to do, you got to do it. The thing is that most of us are going to end up on Rumble anyways, and you can catch me over there too. I'm going to start keeping up that site a little bit more because they are at least not going to censor anything. Another cat that's the dude that is the most searched online, Andrew Tate, right? He's searched out he's Googled more than anybody. Trump, anybody. They basically, he got canceled. He got canceled. For what? Because he's a man. I mean, that's the only reason they made up this big story. They basically swatted him. Authorities showed up. He let him in. I mean, and so he's on Rumble now. And another one that's getting, close to, has been canceled by companies that he gets, like Jackson Hinkle, okay? If you want to check out another good show, and a young man that he's wise beyond his years. He's very intelligent. He's been doing this for a long time. He's only 22 years old. That doesn't matter. I mean, I watch the guy's show every day. Jackson Hinkle. It's called The Dive with Jackson Hinkle. He's on Jimmy Dore's show all the time. I've seen him on Redacted. He's had, Clayton and Natalie on from Redacted on his show. He's had, he's had all kinds of great guests. He's had Glenn Greenwald on. There's another voice that should be heard. The guy, he's the founder of The Intercept and ended up leaving because they were trying to censor him. And it was over the whole fucking Hunter Biden bullshit. And then, you saw the Zuck came out on Joe Rogan's show and talked about the FBI showing up. The FBI is not supposed to be involved in political shit. It's illegal. It's illegal. They showed up at Facebook. Told me better be on heightened alert. We've got word that there's going to be a Russian, a big Russian, drop going on here. Disinformation drop. I mean, he, I don't think he meant this. I think that was something he said, and he was like, oh, shit. But watching his body language, it was weird. He didn't look like a lizard person this time. Like the last time I saw him, when he was sitting there, he's doing that water sippy. Whew, that was weird. He's a weird cat. From what I understand, too, he lives in obviously probably a fairly affluent neighborhood, and then he bought the mansions on each side of the one he lives in so he wouldn't have any neighbors. He speaks Mandarin, too. It's kind of, he's an interesting cat, I don't know a lot about him. I really don't care. But anyways, so, we get down to corruption, right? And where does corruption come from? Well, it comes from competition. Now, am I saying competition's a bad thing? No, I'm not. But when it comes to money and greed, and that being the motivating factor for the competition, I think that's not a good thing. When we live in a world of abundance where everybody could have whatever they wanted, the competition should be something like, whatever you're into. You're into sports, basketball, baseball, football, whatever, men with balls. If you're into chess, whatever, playing cards, playing music, making movies, whatever. There's nothing wrong with some healthy competition in wanting to be the best at what you're doing. But when it's in the search of money, when the end game is money, then inevitably there's going to be unethical things that are going to go down. And people that, through time, right, the winners gain more and more power, and then you have corruption, which is where we're at right now. We've got a massive amount of corruption going on here. Jesus Christ. Open your eyes and look. We're not doing anything about it. If Trump was even, close to anything that the Biden family is doing, right? Between the diary of the girl, the laptop of the kid, the fact that he lied to the government about getting to get a gun, and there's a video out there of him, paying off Russian prostitutes and wandering around naked with a fucking, ill-gotten firearm that he shouldn't have, and then the firearm gets thrown in a dumpster next to the shopping center where he happened to leave the laptop, and that poor guy got run out of town and had to leave, And he's just a business owner, I mean, it's crazy. The fact that he's had, how many of this, I talked about the SARS, not SAAR, but SARs, suspicious activity reports. He's had like 110 of those. 99.9% of the people in this country don't ever get one of those on their bank account. He's had over 100. I think the number was 105, 110, something like that. Don't quote me on it exactly, but it's over 100. That is a lot. Usually if you get one of those, your bank account they're like, go find someplace else to do your business, because it puts so much heat on the bank. Hunter Biden has had 100 some odd of these things. Does that say anything to anybody? Tony Bobulinski seems like a pretty reputable character. Seems like he figured out what was going on. He was a consultant with them. He put two and two together, figured it out, and bailed. And they ran his family name through the dirt, and he had to come out and defend his name. Did they ever apologize to him? Did they ever stand up and say, okay, no, of course not, because Joe Biden won't do that. If that's one thing you notice about this guy, is he will not. He'll stand there and say the buck stops with me. He'll give you lip service with what little bird lips he has left. Last time he talked, got a weird thing going on his beak. I don't know what that's all about. His voice is all goofy. His eyes are weird. Sometimes they just look black and hollow. I don't know if anybody notices. I sure do. I take note of these things. I like to look at I watch people's body language, their mannerisms. I listen to the intonation in their speech, because that tells you everything. We might say words, but the majority of what we're actually saying is coming through in our body language, our inflection in our voice, our eye contact. When people lie, they do this. Okay? Up and to the right. Up and to the right. If you ask me a question and I'm going to lie to you, I'm going to do this. Right? Not so much move my head, but my eyes. They're going to shift up and to the right. Sometimes people go up and to the left. Sometimes their eyes go down. Sometimes people who know they're lying and they're good at this, they just sit there and stare you deadpan in the eye. That's another giveaway, because that's not natural. Clenching of the jaw, pursing of the lips, clenching of the hands, sitting there doing this while they're talking, You see Biden do this all the time, right? He does this number. And it ain't arthritis, You see if you slow down when people talk, you hit the pause button at the right time and it's like, ooh, and you see the clenchiness, Or you catch those little things, the way somebody's, if they're stiff, if they're, arms, like this, that's a sign, closed off. People that do this talk with their, what's her name? I talk with my hands a lot too, but I do so in an open manner. I don't like Jen Psaki. Excuse me. She did she's always doing this. And Corinne Jean-Pierre has taken a page out of Jen Psaki's book because she exhibits much the same mannerisms, you know. And Peter Ducey drives her nuts, and I love it. Because also she just goes out there and she's, you know, every answer. It's like, do you have any original thought of your own? And like I said, granted, that job's got to suck, but it must pay well. It certainly must pay well. I guess. I don't know why you'd want to get up there and just have a job where you just lie. You might as well go be a Hollywood actor. I mean, isn't it amazing how many of the how many gigs there are out there that are looked at as prestigious positions, and the people are just liars? Isn't that weird? We put liars up on a pedestal. That and people that can play with balls. No, I'm being kind of hypocritical because I spent a good portion of my life playing with balls. That was who I was until I was in my 20s, and then I realized I had to figure it out because I was done playing with balls. It's like you get to the point, it's like, oh shit, I'm not going to the bigs. Huh? I spent my whole life sitting here swinging a bat at a ball, swinging a stick at a ball, you know. I had to find who I was, and I mean, I had to figure that out. That took, you know. I mean, that's all I did. Senior prom night, I was down there hitting balls in a tee, you know. Sitting there with the lights on down at the baseball field, prom night, senior. Hitting baseballs into the net by myself. Cops show up. What the hell are you doing? It's prom night. I said, I don't care. I'm getting the hell out of here, you know. And then you figure out, wait a minute, there's more to this than just hitting a ball with a stick. Oh, life is a funny thing, folks. It is, and we got to laugh at it, I suppose. But we also have to take, we have to take things a little bit seriously here. And we got to decide what it is that we're going to do. Because it's about you, it's about me, it's about all of us. It's not about, they want to make it about them. This small group of people, right? This little tiny percentage. The 1%, like Bernie said, the 1%, or the 10%, or the 2%, or the 4%, or the 1%. The 1%. Hey, you got 435 representatives. You got 100 senators. You've got, the president and his cabinet. All in all, but you got 50 governors, their staff. It's not a lot of people compared to the 338 million that we all are. I mean, I'm not saying anything at all other than, maybe it's time to treat them like a petulant child. I mean, how many of you out there are for war? I mean, sure, we have to defend our country, but we don't need to we don't need to be in 10 different wars. We don't need to be in Syria. We don't need to be in any of these countries. We don't need to be on the borders of Ukraine. Yeah, let Ukraine deal with that. I mean, if anything, we need to get our hands out of the nonsense. I mean, our involvement in NATO with, poking Putin, that's all we've been doing, telling him, oh, we're not getting close. Oh, okay, let's poke him a little more. Let's poke him with that stick and see what he does. Well, Putin's a dangerous man. I mean, in the KGB, they said he was dangerous because he would make decisions that were, he didn't care. He didn't care for his, he made decisions not based on whether he was going to make it out of them or not. He was reckless, And I think that's probably how he rose to power, and it's probably why he's where he's at right now, and it's probably why the goddamn ruble is doing better than the dollar, and the American economy is about to fucking collapse because we just keep making up more money. And we just sit back here like dummies and just go, okay. What are we doing here? We just keep letting this happen. We've sent billions over there. We've got 550,000 plus homeless people, and I think that number is an aberration. I think it's way higher than that. I mean, quite honestly, until we get people who want to be off the streets, then there is no reason we should have a single soldier anywhere else in any other country. We are not the world police. We have no business in that. You know, I mean, our business should be in making sure that each and every one of us has every opportunity to enjoy the short life that they have. That we don't have children born into abject poverty and violence and hunger and disease. That we don't have people born into just an immediate place where it's just pain and suffering. I mean, people out there, you want to call yourself a patriot, you want to sing the flag song, you want to talk about land of the free, home of the brave. Nah. Don't get me wrong. There's plenty of us out there who are brave and courageous, but you know, I mean, it's like, you're going to show it. You know, you're going to talk about it, you're going to be about it, you're just going to not even talk about it. That's what bothers me, is so many people don't even talk about it. People don't even recognize what's going on. It is so hard to even have these conversations like I'm having right now. I mean, with anybody, because nobody cares. We've become so used to being complacent and comfortable that, you know, we're just thinking, oh, it's just a phase, you know? Well, we're dealing with a rude, snotty-nosed little brat of a 4-year-old right now. And my advice and my thoughts are treat him as such. You know? I mean, you parents out there, you know what happens when you just ignore a shitty little kid, right? A little brat, you just ignore him. It stops. That's my suggestion. That's what I always say. Hashtag walk away. And I'm going to end it on that. Think about it. Think about it, folks. I might be back later tonight. I don't know. No promises. But I'm going to go out and ride around for a little bit on the dirt. Go find some 200 million year old fossils. I don't know. Something like that. We'll see. Anyway, as we always say, we being me, myself, and Irene, be good or be good at it, and all things be kind and do no harm. From the Mike Files, I'm your host, Mike File, and 52 miles east of Jellystone Park in Coyote, Wyoming, the rodeo capital of the world. There's a little info for you. I'm out. Peace.